level to which we raise rates is actually a separate question of the speed with which we move. Earlier in the process, speed was very important. It's not very important now. The sense of the summary of economic projections and the decision really is just that, given how far we've come, it may make sense to move rates higher, but to do so at a more moderate pace.
Remember, the Fed made 10 consecutive hikes in 15 months before leaving the funds rate at a range of 5 to 5.25% last week. Officials see the median rate hitting 5.6%, with 2 more possible increases this year. Economists say a July hike is all but assured, but the Fed insists it all still depends on incoming economic data. Now, Asian stocks trading within tight ranges following a negative handover from Wall Street overnight. Investors are still digesting U.S. Federal Reserve's interest rates outlook. While checking the indices at this moment, Nikkei 225 this morning up, now trading flat at this hour. Now, Kospi up slightly, less than 0.5%, but mega cap shares are trading mixed. In Australia, the benchmark ASX 200 in negative territory, down by less than 1.5%, as stocks losing for the second straight day, led by declines in financial stocks. And markets in Hong Kong, mainland China and Taiwan are closed for holidays, reducing activity in the region. With interest in artificial intelligence exploding, including in the Asia-Pacific, my colleague Elizabeth Neo looks at its impact on jobs and businesses.
Artificial intelligence has evolved tremendously since the term was coined half a century ago, and its merits have not gone unnoticed, with hopes that it could revolutionize industries and economies. In fact, optimism in AI has been fueling a tech rally, with the big tech, cloud systems, hardware manufacturers, and cybersecurity firms set to be major winners. Now, AI's revenue potential is projected to grow rapidly over the next decade. DBS quotes a report by Fortune Business Insights, which estimates that the global AI market size would rise at a compound annual growth rate of 40% to reach $360 billion by 2028. And it made these projections even before the meteoric rise of ChatGPT and other AI tech advancements. AI is expected to bring top-line growth to financial services industries. In some ways, it could do that. Well, AI chatbots that currently answer customer queries could be further developed to take on a wider scope of queries, and that will allow banks to deal with larger transaction volumes. AI could also be used to manage credit risks and small and medium businesses. Now, the business value add contributed by AI to the financial sector is projected to reach $300 billion by 2030. APAC alone will command the largest piece of the pie, approximately a third of the share. And that is just one industry. Imagine what it could do for economies as a whole. Now, according to McKinsey estimate quoted by DBS, AI could potentially deliver additional economic output of around $13 trillion, or 16% of global output between 2018 and 2030. And it is understandable that there are worries then that jobs could be replaced by AI, especially white-collar ones. People in healthcare, architecture, and engineering are not facing the highest risk. But with more and more cognitive tasks being automated, roles in legal, computer, education, and mathematical sectors, those are likely to be most impacted. Meantime, the farming and construction industries are expected to be least affected. But it doesn't mean that all blue-collar workers are spared. Those who are in healthcare support and food preparation services, for example, they're likely to be moderately affected, as other innovations relating to robotics and automation would make certain roles redundant. And that's where governments are expected to come in to bridge the transition to AI and help people keep pace with the technologies. Whether or not you're ready for it, AI is here to stay, and it could transform our lives in ways unimaginable.
An analyst from DBS Bank, Daryl Hall, explained how artificial intelligence can help us at work.
With the advent of generative AI, and I would say that the main engines of growth of this is not small, by the way, right? So the main engines of growth are augmentation. I think if you've experienced the working with the ChatGPT, you will notice that it is really efficient at augmenting the ability to write and create, right? So I think writer's block is probably the thing of the past, if you were to think along those lines. Certain aspects of your job that AI could replace, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If you're typing an email and you see a prompt come up, that's substituting your ability to write, but it does help you in efficiency and productivity. And lastly, I think the largest engine that we think has the most potential is really the idea that AI can create entirely new products, right? Entirely new product distribution channels that we have not seen before. I think that's where the potential is.
And that's the latest in business. Yasmin, back to you.
Thank you so much, Henry. Appreciate it. Well, ahead on Asia now, Joe Biden welcomes Narendra Modi to the White House for a private meeting and dinner. Both leaders are expected to hold a rare press conference later today. Plus, hospitals in India's most populous state, that's Uttar Pradesh, overwhelmed by a sweltering heat wave.
Next time on Japan Hour.
飛んでるよー。もっと東急の出会えなかったやつら。
楽しかった
感動。
あ、来た。
小さいでしょ。天井も低くて、ちょっとおもちゃみたいな列車なんですよね。
かなりこれ揺れが。
じゃあ写真撮りますね。せっかくですから。
ありがとうございます。
なんかポーズ撮ってください。
Japan Hour, Saturday on CNA. Japan Hour is brought to you by Sumitomo Corporation. MUFG, committed to empowering a brighter future. And Zip Air, summer fares now available with daily flights.
Updating this hour's top stories. A massive gas explosion rips through a barbecue restaurant in northwestern China. State media reports at least 31 people dead, 7 others are injured. Rescue hopes for the missing submersible hinge on unidentified sounds heard from beneath the North Atlantic. Less than 8 hours of breathable air left on the vessel. Plus, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's landmark visit to the US. He's met with President Joe Biden and is expected to hold a rare press conference with him later today. Well, circling back to our headline story, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met with US President Joe Biden at the White House. Both leaders held private talks and had a private dinner afterwards. It precedes a formal welcome ceremony and delegation talks at the White House, scheduled for later today. Earlier on Asia First, Julie Yu and Steve Lai spoke with Pradeep Taneja, who's academic fellow at the Australia-India Institute at the University of Melbourne. He says India will work with the US where the interests of both sides align, and explains why he doesn't see New Delhi playing a role in containing Beijing as hoped by Washington.
China is an important factor in this relationship. And this is, I think, a conclusion that the United States came to more than 2 decades ago when the U.S. government under President Bush decided that India would be almost an indispensable partner for the United States. As China's power continues to grow and China asserts itself more aggressively, then India would be almost an indispensable partner. And with the growth in India's economy, as you said, India is now the 5th largest economy in the world, soon will become the 3rd largest economy in the world. India's status as a future partner for the United States, a strategic partner for the United States, I think has been solidified even further.